see I got a shave. Here's what I did off camera. I cut my template in half, 18 inches now, and I need to duplicate the other half. So on this side, I butted it up against my table saw fence so that I knew it would be even. Got it even on this side, and made a pencil mark all the way around that. I'm going to stay on the outside of this line and cut this out, and then I'm going to glue these two halves together so I've got one continuous piece. And then I'll put that up against the headboard just to get in my own mind that, yeah, it is symmetrical. I'll cut a 4-inch strip off of here to use as the form for the trim molding we'll need. And probably stack that up at least twice so I have a full inch. This is half-inch MDF board. Man, I wished I lived in a perfect world. I told myself several times to make sure I was cutting on the right side of the line, and sure enough, I started off the first 1.5 inches here on the wrong side of the line. So, looks like we need another super glue fix. Well, as my wife would attest, I rarely throw anything out. And I've got my scrap bin over there that I empty out once in a while when it gets so full. I went over there and found this little piece of sliver that's going to fit right in there. I don't want to distort this thing, but again, if I were to leave this open and then when I trimmed it, you can see that it would distort. So a little super glue is the answer right here. I'm going to flood that there. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of accelerator on both sides of this. Slide that in there so that it's proud on both sides. And then we'll sprinkle some more super thin super glue on that. And in a matter of minutes it'll be dry. And once again I can move on. See what kind of mistakes I can make today. Yeah, that's in there. So I'll just flush that up with my plane, and then we'll be ready to match these up and route them. So here's the setup. My plan is to use a biscuit joiner to join these two pieces together. Gluing MDF to MDF is very difficult and very weak. This doesn't have to be a strong joint, but I do want it to be able to bear some force when I put the router on it. So the lowest setting, this is if you set it on the ground, is set up for 3/4 inch material. Remember, my MDF is 1/2 inch material, so I've got a little scrap of 1/8 inch or whatever it is in millimeters plywood under there. I will step that up. I'll use this little indicator mark on my very old biscuit joiner. This is one of the first ones they came out with. Still very usable. And cut a slot for this biscuit to go in. Now I'll repeat that process on the other side. My longest pipe clamps do not cover this long area. I knew that was going to be a problem when I started building this. I've got this little coupler, so I've put two 4-foot sections together here, and I'll be able to clamp it where it is straight, but on this curve here, I'm going to clamp it to the headboard itself. This doesn't have to have a lot of clamping pressure. I've got my wax paper under the headboard so I don't ruin it. I've checked the alignment here with the biscuits and dry fitted it. Everything looks good, so I am ready to apply some glue and get on with this process. I've taken the clamps off, checked this with my pattern, and it looks like we are golden. I love it. So the next step is to make up the form for the glue for the trim, and I'm going to make sure I cover this joint so it'll be a little stronger. I like the way everything is set up right here on top, so I think I'm going to leave the headboard up here. Got track practice in a couple hours, but I think I can get some of this cut out today. Okay, I've checked this all the way around to make sure I'm not going to be cutting into the headboard. But this makes a great clamping surface. I've checked this to make sure I'm going to clear there. I'd like to make this as smooth and one smooth cut and as smooth as possible. Let's see. Well, I've got 2 scraps glued on here. I've got one over the joint, and that joint is very fragile, so I went ahead and clamped a straight edge onto there just to make sure it wasn't going to move. I don't have enough clamps to finish the left side here of this headboard, so I'll let that glue set up. It's about lunchtime anyway. Let it sit up a good hour, hour and a half. Come back at 1 o'clock, and that'll give me an hour to work before I have to go to track. And then I can route all that stuff flush with each other. So I'm happy with the progress so far.